but this buildup of the silent planet is driving me nuts. Like, where's the 12th planet? Looking for the 12th planet explained? Want to know more about the Anunnaki story and the Nephilim? That's what we're here to find out. Let's take a trip back in time and review this book, The 12th Planet. In my 12th Planet review of the first chapter, we covered the stunning evolution of mankind. It was an epic journey through our ancient origins you should definitely check out. Now, chapter 2 of the 12th Planet is titled The Southern Civilization, and here's the 5 main topics we're going to cover today. So chapter 2 starts out with a leap through time ahead of the first civilization. It says that Western man thought they got their knowledge and culture from ancient Greeks. However, the Greeks maintain that they got their knowledge from the Far East. It then traces back to ancient Egypt and the Great Pyramids as the influence to the Greeks and Romans. There still, they find tablets and artifacts that show that the Egyptians got their knowledge from even farther east.
Okay, too far.
The book then jumps through the timeline, going from Egypt to Babylon, Babylon to Assyria, and Assyria to Akkadia, connecting each ancient civilization through their language, writings, and even architecture. Surprisingly, even going all the way back to the Akkadians circa 2000 BC, scholars and archaeologists still find evidence that show they built their civilization from knowledge from an even earlier people.
How far does it go?
So to wrap that up in a tight little Christmas bow, after taking us through millions of years of our ancient history, Sitchin leapfrogs over the first civilization all the way to the 18th century when Napoleon started looking for where civilization began.
Tina, you fat lard, come get some dinner!
Learning Greece wasn't the beginning. We now get a DeLorean ride back to ancient Egypt as our first stop. There, the Sphinx bats us away as we find out Egyptians got their info from the Babylonians, who got their info from the Assyrians, who got their info from Akkadia. And still, the hunt continues. Just like in the first chapter, Zecharia Sitchin makes a point to mention the Bible's accuracy about the beginnings of our ancient civilization. He states from the Bible, quote, "In the beginning of his kingdom, Babel and Erech and Akkad, all in the land of Shinar," end quote. Sitchin emphasized, scholars are amazed at the Bible's precision and how it traced back the same cities in such detail. Its descriptions are so accurate, some scholars even start to take certain verses regarding epic battles as facts instead of fairy tales.
Oh, really?
Really?
The Bible's on point again? Pretty clear the Bible plays an important role throughout this book. Sitchin even makes a comment that it has one of the most accurate descriptions of our ancient history. Wait, this thing? Really? Sitchin finally makes it backwards through time to the first civilization. Here we find out that most of the knowledge and inventions that seem to be firsts in our time were actually rediscovered centuries later. Printing and rotary presses, for example, were both done back in the 4th millennium BC using clay tablets with preset cuneiform symbols and cylinder seal. These unique cylinder seals were crafted with reversed images to roll and create an impression as a person's signature. This ancient civilization was the first to use the wheel, attaching ox and horse to create horsepower. They were also the first to create laws and contracts for services, property, and even marriage. They were the first to study medicine and even perform surgery. Several skeletons were found that showed the skulls had been operated on. This ancient civilization was also the first to create malpractice laws, imposing harsh penalties on the surgeon if they hurt the patient during the process. We finally get a look at the first civilization, and yeah, they're pretty impressive. The fact that a city of people over 5,000 years ago created a cylinder seal to roll as a signature for contracts is insane. They even had beer and wine recipes. Plus, they were already making marriage jokes. Quote, "Man for his pleasure, marriage. On second thought, divorce." End quote. Again, brings to question how people who just figured out how to farm and make clay utensils are suddenly telling jokes, making beer, and transporting goods with horsepower carriages. On top of all of that, they were already performing surgeries, and doctors could lose a hand if they screwed up the patient. Somehow, I don't think insurance covers that. So throughout chapter 2, Sitchin makes several points about the superiority of the first civilization compared to its successor. One of the biggest advancements they had was math. Sitchin makes a matter-of-fact statement that the math used back in the 4th millennium BC was far superior to the math used by the Greeks. He even goes as far to say it's better than our current mathematics in certain respects. They developed a sexagesimal system, combining what they called a celestial 6 with a mundane 10 to get a base of 60. From there, they could divide into fractions and multiply into the million. They also established the 360-degree circle, a dozen, and 12 inches in a foot, all of which are still used in our daily lives. Do what? How does a civilization who just figured out clay pottery able to do complex math? That doesn't make sense. And somehow the information gets lost in translation and the following cultures end up regressed because of it.
It's a circle.
I'm just glad we didn't lose all their math figures. All in all, first civilization was pretty impressive. And it's hard to say if their math wasn't better than our current system. We have a name. Sitchin finally brings us the elusive civilization that preceded the Akkadians, Assyrians, Babylonians, and Egyptians. They're from the land of Sumer and called Sumeria. They're the first civilization in written history and the starting point of all major advancements from our upbringing. How did Zecharia Sitchin uncover this lost civilization's name? Found it in the 25,000 tablets discovered in Akkadia written by Ashurbanipal, a ruler of Nineveh, that stated, quote, "I have been initiated into the secret writing. I can even read the intricate tablets in Sumerian." End quote. I thought this guy just said they were Sumerians. Apparently, when Jules Apat brought his claims to the FSNA, he mispronounced the name and called them Sumerians instead of Sumerians. So that's what we call them. Seems a bit weird, but okay, Sumerians it is. In short, it might be a long walk to get to the 12th planet. We're already 2 chapters deep, and we now know that the first civilization of humanity was called the Sumerians. Except we screwed up pronouncing it, so now they're called the Sumerians. It was an impressive trip through time. We learned that many discoveries were actually just recreation, and that people were making beer, wine, and even telling jokes about marriage and divorce over 5,000 years ago. Freaking hilarious. But this buildup of the silent planet is driving me nuts. Like, where's the 12th planet? There's no way Sitchin would have made it as a YouTube creator with all of this fun. Oh well. Let's see what happens next in Chapter 3, Gods of Heaven and Earth. I hope you enjoyed this Chapter 2 book review of the 12th planet. Please share any comments down below. Don't forget to check out the audiobook, and of course, like and subscribe for more.